Facebook Live on Austin Men's Development. It is July 1st, 2020, and this is the argument for non-monogamy. If you want to watch the first one, the argument for monogamy, it is already up. Getting comments on Facebook. Jeez. All right. Good stuff. You can check it out at Austin Men's Development. Probably by then it'll be buried way down low. So there's a couple things that I forgot about the argument for monogamy. And then there was a comment that came from Jim, which was pretty impressive that I need to include into this. But this, I want to get into the real benefits of non-monogamy because they're there. But let me just start off with this. Number one is the thing that was most beneficial for me with monogamy was stability. That to me was the best. Like to be stable for 7 years, to have something to where I'd like built this business being mainly online. That started in 2009 and that relationship started in 2012. But man, it made things so much better in so many ways where there was a true change. That stability was amazing. And then the second thing is, which is vastly important, almost made me want to redo the whole argument for monogamy video from Jim, was that people make this, I was talking from the perspective of marriage. People make this assumption that monogamy is about a certain time or a certain oath or a certain commitment. And I know I put that in my, my first video, but it's not just there. It's that it just means one at a time. So what I'll talk to you about in the non-monogamy part when we finally get to it is that, man, like one at a time is monogamous. That means I could have a girlfriend in whatever, Texas, and I'm only dating her. That doesn't mean that I'm, not open to dating other people or whatever, but for now I'm just with her and I'm respecting that. I'm respecting my time with her. And it's not that I'm having more women, because that can be a real pain in the ass. Like you think it's cool. It's not cool. All right. Enough of that. That was a long one. Let's get into this. The argument for non-monogamy. Oh man, let me tell you, there's so many arguments. Why not? Why would you not do that? Why would you, like, if you can date multiple women, if you can have, sex that isn't restrained in these different ways, if you can have alternative relationships where there's multiple partners or there's lack of a commitment. And remember, as Jim corrected here, monogamy isn't just about a commitment or a type of commitment. It's that I'm only with one. That could be a commitment. And it could be that, hey, I don't know how to define this relationship, but we're only with each other. Very important distinction, right? So why wouldn't you do that? If you could live this dream of masculinity where you have sex with lots of women, or you don't have girlfriends and you're free and you just get the sexual attributes to it, or you just get the attributes that are like dating and adoration or whatever, but you don't have all those problems. What did Hugh Hefner say? Like, it's better to have, 10 girlfriends than one wife. And there's so much to that could be real. That is you have to have lived both of those things to get what that truly means. So this was amazing. When I had the opportunity to date many women, I did. And man, I did. Like when we talk about the sexual life, I lived that. I have no bucket list that I need to knock over. I'm always open to more experiences. I'm down for it. But man, by the time I was 34, I was like, man, I'm over it. I'm good, man. I'm good. Like, Jesus Christ, you want to talk about whatever I wanted. Now, there's people who've lived like way more flavorful sexual lives than me. Probably not many, but I did whatever I wanted to do. Whatever I wanted to do. If I wanted to have threesomes, foursomes, if I wanted to have 10 people, 20 people, like I would orchestrate these things. These things would happen, man. That I had whatever I wanted. Now, there was loss in that. There was heartbreak. There was dysfunction. There was sadness. There was loneliness. There was excess and loneliness all in the same time. So there's like a whole big deal to that. But then here's what's even better. Here's what's better is by the time I was like 30, 31, I was burnt, man. I was burnt out. So I spent from, let's say, 31 to 34 figuring out how this could be done healthy, how I could have this excessive sexuality and learn things like respect and learn things like, different virtues, learn things like peace, learn things like the spirituality of sex and the beauty of it. And I got a lot of that wrong. But man, I think in the dating industry, I got more of it right than almost anybody. Now, who knows? Who knows? But the thing is that when we get to that sort of lifestyle, when people speak on behalf of it, they haven't lived it. They haven't lived with dating multiple women. They haven't lived with having multiple women with you for years. They haven't lived when somebody looks up to you sexually and that you own a piece of them. You know, that still, I mean, we're talking 12 years later. I was just talking about this. There's somebody that I would have sex with when I was 30. And God, it's crazy because now she's 30. She was 18 when we started, and still to this day, man, Steve, I'm running into these problems and these issues. You were the only person I felt safe with, da, da, da. And there's probably people who might even say bad things. Maybe. Like I said, lots of mistakes happen in this world. All these people who are talking about non-monogamy and how great it is and theorizing about it have not lived it. And until you have lived it, I honestly think you shouldn't speak on behalf of it on either side, because you're talking about theory, you're talking about concept, and man, there's a whole lot that I'm going to tell you where Hans Komain does and lives differently, as well as myself, that does and lives differently, than you see the norm of promiscuity happen. Okay? So you have to talk to people who have experienced, and to negate that wisdom is ridiculous. In fact, like the first comment on the argument for monogamy is like my little pretense thing to like, let's not look at the sociological and let's look at the psychological. Okay, I'm not dismissing the sociological. Like, I love all of that stuff. I love it, man. It's great. It's fucking the shit. But when you do that, you can't listen to an individual. And when you do that, you're not looking at you yourself as the individual. And I get that there's an importance to the sociological, looking at those things so that you can find the individual, but at some point that cannot be a part of the lexicon of how you're talking. So when it's like, yes, man, I look at the stats, or I look at how this works, or I look at how religion or whatever, and all these different things is affecting whatever, all this sort of stuff, right? When I look at that, I am avoiding my own personal takes and beliefs on different things that could be challenged and thought. So for instance, I may have the right choice on monogamy through the sociological arguments, but I may be hurt by monogamy, or why I can't do monogamy, or what keeps me from functionality in monogamy. And I've completely avoided all of that. And you will never get to the place where, one, I got to with monogamy or non-monogamy, because you have to put it all on the line for both. That is what I'm saying. You want to develop yourself as a man, as an individual. That has to happen. So back to this thing, there's a lot of experience Hans has that's unique. I disagree with a lot. I'm going to interview him tomorrow. We're going to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to challenge him on stuff. That's kind of the point of the interview series that I'm doing. But with that, there is some sort of wisdom of why non-traditional relationships may be argued for him. And one thing I will say with Hans is almost never going to say that there's one way. He'll defend his way, but he's open-minded to a lot. So then we get to this other thing of, like, let's say post-marriage. Wow, man, that's crazy. Let me tell you this. This is interesting. Guess what monogamy gave me? I know what a fucking queen is. I know what a woman is. I know what a woman to respect and decide and choose your life upon is. And that's a different standard. That's better. I know what a mom is. I know what happens when a girl becomes a mom. I know what a lady is. And if you don't understand these things, there's certain qualities to a girl that are free and open and beautiful. And there's certain things to a mom which are strict and rigid and organized and powerhouses. I know what a lady is who can be respected and graceful and elegant. These are great, man. These are great. So when I entered back into the single world, it was very interesting because, once again, when it was time to get laid, didn't have a problem with it. It's a blessing and a curse. Always has been, right? Of course, some guys are out there going like, man, I just want the opportunity for sex. And that you should learn that. There's many coaches like myself and other people who are teaching how can you do this? And God, what an awesome thing, right? So you take this pain of a breaking of a family. No matter how good that splitting was, you're breaking something that's amazing, that's sacred, that had the bonds and commitments and energies of people behind it. You're breaking that, and there's pain. That pain allows you to look deeper And if you dive into your pain, if you live your pain, something that I always preach and which I've done and been doing, and it's amazing, it's one of the best turning points of my life, is that when you dive into that pain and you're dating and you can get whatever sex you want, the adventures you want, and now to fulfill certain things like maybe I hadn't done. And like I said, I don't have a bucket list, but there were things like, man, I haven't explored South America that much. I just had girlfriends in the Caribbean before and girlfriends in Brazil before, but never around these other countries. Like, I want to do that. Man, I've always dated somebody local. What happens if I don't? What happens if I only have distance? What happens to the different women that would hit on me when I was married, and wanted to reach out to them or whatever? What was all this, right? And so you explore this. And one of the most amazing things that hit me at I'm not really sure what time, but it was like, I think it started with 3 girls who I was involved with. And I just thought to myself, why? None of them are the queen. None of them are the woman. None of them are the lady. And I don't need one of those. I don't want that. I don't want anything serious. But they're all the girl. They're all sex partners. They're all women that want something. And they're fairly free, and it's amazing. But what am I looking for? And all of a sudden, we fast forward to now, and there's 9. And some of those people I'm just involved in, like, amicably, but very close. And there's that tension there that's beautiful. Some of them could be partners. Some of them could be whatever. But, like, why am I involved in them? And here's the beauty of it. And I get it. Like, if you haven't lived this, you can comment, you can have an opinion, but you don't know. And I'm not saying you're stupid. I'm saying you're inexperienced. And if you're commenting on something that you are inexperienced on, then you're making yourself stupid. I'm not really saying it. But what I will say is, what a great choice to be able to come from. Where's the girl? Where is the mentorship? Where is the person that I'm equals to in terms of, like, age and culture and all these different things? Where's the person that I can have fun with? Where's the person that I'm free with? And what are all these things, and how do I define and navigate within them? That is an amazing gift. Yet I would even say this, and this is one thing that I plan on talking to Hans about, is that he's never had that. He doesn't know what it's like to be a father, to be a leader in that sense, to have kids, to be a leader of a family, to truly be a leader of a woman, And dare I say that, because she would lead me too, and these things happen. It's amazing, right? So in this whole thing of the interaction and that exchange, it gives me more perspective, more wisdom. And in what I will say in my situation, again, this is unique to me, in my argument for non-monogamy, the commitment in the breaking of family, the breaking of the heart, the breaking of, the commitments that we had and the feelings we had behind it, challenges so much self-exploration that is amazing. What a gift. The pain that tells you everything is wrong and has failed or whatever it might be, but the true shadow, having you go deeper into the anima, deeper into the animus, deeper into the self, to crack the ego, or to be able to separate from those things. That is an amazing thing. See, the argument for me with non-monogamy has truly to do with the sexual life, which the feminine will complete the masculine. In my life, I have one masculine expression, which is me, which can change and be augmented and moved. And through that, I have the feminine of many, many different faces, right? The singular feminine of the world, the beautiful woman of the world, carried with different personalities, different bodies, different selves. And the more I know about my masculine, and the more I know about myself, and the more I can adapt and change and work within that, the different faces of the feminine, as long as I have it, and I'm sure at some point, I will not have many faces interacting with me. I will have one, or maybe none. I have no desire to have 2 girlfriends at once that somehow I manage, or 3 wives, or whatever it is. That will change and mold me and find deeper levels of myself. And it is a beautiful thing. That is amazing. That is amazing. that the more I can develop and change myself and interact with the many, many aspects of femininity within me, whether that's through sharing your heart, your mind, your sex, or whatever it is, that is one of the most beautiful experiences that a man can have. The deeper a man can go, and the deeper he can go with a woman or multiple women or whatever it is, that's the grace. And see, why aren't we talking about that? Why aren't we talking about that? What somebody is searching for in monogamy and non-monogamy is the same thing. And I think that would be the question that I would ask everybody out there who's arguing incessantly about many things, defending whatever it is. It's not about right or wrong. Every individual here can choose their own life, but it's about how we can do this with peace, how we can see the greater good, that all human beings are going for something good. I get it. Some may do it in ways that cause harm to others, and those could be stopped. But fight those wars that come to your doorstep instead of fighting the wars that can never be won. And you can never really fight, because then you're just fighting an image in your head or a manifestation of these things that's an online avatar, and that ain't shit. Anyway, we're getting off track. Dudes, my dudes. All right. So if you want to participate in these calls, man, Rebuild Challenge, you can sign up down below. It's usually really affordable price. It's awesome. You get a Facebook group, you get videos, content, all that sort of stuff, but you also get calls. You get 3 calls a week. It's awesome. It's a good thing. It's a one-time payment. It's temporary, whatever. It's just an introduction to all these things, and it's a very good thing. What this is all about is about men's development and living the life of your potential. And if you do not do that, and you're wasting time, whether you think you can't do it, whether you think women suck or men suck or whatever the fuck it is, or the Chads and the Stacys, or I don't know what it is, but if whatever is getting in the way of you living your best, there are answers to fix that. And that's what we're doing here. And if you're not doing that, man, this probably isn't the right group for you. But thank you very much. I'm going to get back to this call. I've been talking way too long.